Okay, I look like I'm in the middle. Also, by the way, if you can hear my brother playing his sax in the background, just pretend like it's background music that I added myself. It's kind of like free background music, honestly, and he sounds good, so we're gonna roll with it. I am I am very passionate about this topic because I myself was stuck in it for a little while, and this topic that I am talking about is like the glow up culture of needing to make yourself appear better, or glowing up in a week, or glowing up before school starts, or summer glow up, all that kind of stuff. I was in the thick of it.
Into the thick of it!
I was in the metaphorical trenches of that trend for so long. I was constantly watching those videos of like how to glow up, like you need to tan, and you need to do this, and you need to do your makeup a certain way, and you do that, and you need to wear these clothes, and you need to do these exercises, and you do these ab exercises, and these abs are... It was so much. And I like still was in it for a very long time. I was like, oh yeah, I did glow up. And looking back, the second or the moment that I kind of realized that I was stuck in that kind of area was when I posted this short on YouTube, actually like 6 months ago or something. And it was that one Chase Atlantic song that's like, water's in the ocean, let it swim. And it was like, you show a picture of your younger self, and then when it says swim, like you show like a newer picture, so it's like showing your glow up. And someone in the comments pointed out, they were like, I don't think you glue up, I think you just grew up. And that's when it clicked for me. I was like, oh. No, you're right. Because I think a lot of people just grow into their features, or they grow into how they look, or you take a little while to figure out like your own style, how you want to kind of look, all that kind of stuff as you get older. And so a lot of people think that like, oh, I grew up, like I used to look like this and now I look like this. And it's like, okay, well, first of all, don't talk bad about your younger self. Like, they were never ugly, you were never ugly, I promise. That I think ugly is like a construct. I don't think it's a real thing personally. I used to think that I looked horrible when I was in 7th grade. And honestly, I don't look like that much anymore. It's still me, of course. And I've changed, and like I don't wear glasses anymore. I don't have a bob. I'm not slaying with that B-O-B like I was back then.
That player, you do know that I'm known for the bob.
Bob. And I used to always like shit on myself pretty much for looking like that, or being like, I used to look like that, huh? When in reality, I was a kid figuring out what I wanted to look like. I was experimenting with different hairstyles and glasses, no glasses, and with my like what I was wearing as well. So I always just now hesitate with like, I was a kid, I was figuring it out, and at the time I liked how I looked, and that's all that matters. And now I like how I look now. And so that's why I think this whole construct around this glow up thing is something that we need to talk about, because it's a very dangerous rhetoric to be using, especially when the age group that is very susceptible to it is like young, specifically teenage girls, but I think guys can fall into this too. I've seen many like glow up tips for guys videos as well. And I don't think anyone should be made to feel as if they have to change who they are to feel more appreciated or more liked for how they look, how they act, etc. And what I've noticed is that this whole like glow up trend, or it's not even really a trend, but more of just like a societal understanding of it, goes very much hand in hand with like the clean girl aesthetic, which I have not made a video on this, but I want to. Pretty much this idea of being very clean and like minimalistic and like wearing all white and yada yada yada, other things that I have kind of blocked out because I was also in the trenches of that too. Don't get it twisted. I was there. I was there. I had my gun out, my bayonet pointed. Liza. Pow, pow. Yeah, it was a time for sure. And it was also a time when I was experimenting, you know, trying to figure out what I liked, what I wanted to wear, all that kind of stuff. And with the clean girl aesthetic, it's mostly the focus of like becoming the best version of yourself, aka like cutting everyone out of your life that's not good for you, and exercising a lot, trying to be as healthy as possibly can, all that kind of stuff. And while I think the idea behind it is not awful, I think it's like, okay, yeah, like you want to be healthy, you want to love your body, you want to express yourself how you really want to, and like being the best version of yourself, I don't think in and of itself is bad, but a lot of the ways that it's used to make people do certain things, I think is where it falls off. Don't get me wrong, there are some things about this kind of idea that are good. Like, it's like, yes, you should surround yourself with people that love you. You should take time to be with yourself and really like understand who you are and like journal, understand your mental health, all that kind of stuff. I totally get and support. But a lot of it would turn into like,
cut everyone out of your life, be alone, you don't need anyone.
and no, you do need people. Newsflash, community, we're humans. We do need other people to survive. And not just to survive, but to truly live. And what I've come to kind of understand about the clean girl aesthetic is that it never really was being the best version of yourself. It was more of being the skinniest and the most consumption-based version of yourself. And don't get me wrong, everyone that's making these glow up videos on TikTok, Instagram, even Pinterest, it's made it into Pinterest. It's been on Pinterest for a while. That's where I was in the trenches with Pinterest. And now I've been realizing it on YouTube a lot as well, is this like glow up before your first year of college, or glow up this, do my summer glow up with me, do my fall glow up. While I don't think everyone who's making those videos are necessarily bad, and they're not with this intent of like forcing these ideas on you of like, you need to change, you need to change, you need to flip who you are, you need to become more presentable, or whatever that means. I don't think they all have bad intentions with it. I don't. I think a lot of them just want to make content, and this is kind of a content gold mine for a lot of people because people like to watch it, because you can kind of benefit off other people's insecurities because you are, you know, making content and then being like, oh, I should do that if I want to look like that. And yeah, I don't think they're doing that on purpose. I don't think the people making these videos are like,
Yes, these people with insecurities, and I will make them more insecure.
not what they're doing. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not coming after anyone or anything like that. I'm more of saying that I think we just need to be a bit more aware of when we make these videos that the target demographic is a lot of younger people who are probably very insecure about themselves, about their bodies, about the way that they look, and to enforce this idea that they need to change that in order to be better is not good. Just to state it plainly. And I'm mostly talking about like the outward appearance. I know that there's a lot of like glow up on the inside, which I do think is a little bit better and more focused on like mental health, as I said, or like journaling, or being more like present in your own mind and taking time to be alone and really like let yourself think. I think those are all good things. But I do think that there are two main aspects of this whole like glow up area that I really want to talk about, because I think that they are where two of the biggest problems come in when talking about this topic, and that is the cookie cutter effect and the overconsumption effect. So let's just get into these two different topics that I want to talk about. So for the cookie cutter effect, I kind of want to start off by talking about the clean girl aesthetic, which mostly started in, I'm trying to think, like pandemic time, when everyone was kind of locked in their houses, and the only way people could feel as if they had control over things was to control like what they themselves were doing, which I understand and I totally get because I was also there too. But I think that's kind of where this root started of like glowing up and being better, of like coming out of the pandemic looking better than you went in, all that kind of stuff. That's where I think it started. And I do think it was present before then as well, but the pandemic really like is where it festered. Actually, the pandemic is where a lot of things festered now that I think about it. But the main issue with the clean girl aesthetic, which mostly sprouted out of the pandemic, was that it took a lot of trends, or not necessarily trends, but it made a trend out of a lot of hairstyles and clothing and all these other types of like fashion or other things that were mainly created or popularized by people of color, such as like slicked back hairstyles or like large gold bangles on your arm or earrings. Certain jewelry was usually by people of color and was then instead like pretty much whitewashed and then been like, oh, the clean girl aesthetic created this hairstyle. And it's like, no, slickbacks have been around for a while, guys. They're just now have been whitewashed and then popularized, and now you think that it's because of them.
Clean girl aesthetic took over the world, created multi-million-dollar companies, and turned beauty brands into billionaires. While we associated with Hailey Bieber and Matilda Djerf, let's not forget the original founders who were booted as CEO of the clean girl aesthetic. Glossy lips, dewy skin, slick back hair, all adorned by Latina women, South Asian women, and Black women for decades. For a Latina woman, the clean girl look was never just a trend. Slick back buns, bold brows, and oversized gold hoops were part of the chola fashion as early as the 80s and 90s. 1990s. Hair oiling was a ritual rooted in care and culture. Even the sleek center-part bun has deep roots in South Asian style. Edge control and gloss weren't new inventions. They were found at beauty supply stores across America long before high-end brands caught on the no makeup look. In fact, this has always existed in Black communities. While brands continue to commodify this look, it's important to remember who wore it first and who was told it wasn't professional, elegant, or clean enough.
And I'm sure there's like tons of really good articles to read about that. I personally don't know a ton, but I do remember a lot of people talking about that right when the clean girl aesthetic was like at its height. Was like, okay, yeah, sure, these things have become a lot popular now, but they weren't created by these like white influencers. Like that's not how the slick back was created. And so there is a problem with that of like a slight, I don't know if it's cultural appropriation, because I think it's not necessarily that. It's more of that taking something that was created and popularized by one culture and then kind of like taking it as your own and then not giving credit, which I guess kind of is cultural appropriation. So it kind of is. But yeah, just something to keep in mind. That's something that I myself have a little bit of a problem with the clean girl aesthetic. And the other problem that I have, which is what this section is about, is the cookie cutter effect. Pretty much that it makes everybody into the same exact version or like slight different iterations of the same person, which is pretty much erasing individuality, especially in like fashion and clothing and even just like the ways we act as well. A lot of social media dictates the way that like we decide to like present ourselves or show our personalities. A lot of people will change their personalities to fit in better in different groups, and I think that we don't always realize how much of an effect social media has on that aspects of who we are. But some of the best examples I can think of this is like the whole clean girl makeup look, and how like, oh no more like big eye makeup or lots of like foundation and concealer and stuff like that. Like that's too cakey, it's too much. We need it to be like
simple and plain and like only look like you have a little bit on.
I usually don't wear a lot of makeup, and it's not because I don't want to, it's because I really don't know how to wear makeup, and that is a fault on me. I'm sounding like those girls in like the Wattpad, like the Your Names, who are like, I don't know how to wear makeup, I'm not like other girls. No, I'm not skilled at makeup. I have been getting better, but I still want to get better. Like I can't do eye makeup for crap. Or switching out like your whole entire wardrobe to wear like just a clean white tank top and light wash jeans with a belt and sambas, because that is kind of like the outfit for it now. I'm not saying that wearing that stuff is bad at all. I think I myself have fell into that same thing too, and if that's what you genuinely like to wear, then like go ahead. But it is kind of racing individuality, especially in the fashion area, because it's enforcing this idea that you have to wear these certain things to look this certain way and present yourself a certain way, when I think there should be a little bit more creativity when it comes to what you're wearing. But it's because people are so easily influenced, especially with social media and how much of a role it plays in our lives, that we get these trends that then really dictate how we act and what we wear and how we, go about our lives. And that's why using such rhetoric is like, you need to glow up, or you need to do these things to look better, or yada, 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 is very, very harmful. And as I said, especially to the young demographic that is watching this, who are incredibly insecure about themselves and therefore will literally take what you're saying and do it, even if you didn't necessarily mean it for it to be taken that literally. Because when you're saying, oh, you need to do this, you can look like this, or you need to do this, you can look better, and like you can come back to school looking better, it's pretty much enforcing the idea that how you look right now isn't good enough, and therefore you need to change. And that is my main issue with the whole glow up. It's like, well, what if I do look like the before, not the after? And shouldn't that be okay? And I don't think this is done intentionally. Once again, I don't think these people making these videos are doing it to make people feel insecure or make people feel as if they need to change themselves. I think they just like to make the content, and that's fine. I think it's just being a little bit more mindful of what you're making and how that might affect the people who are watching. Because I personally don't know how many times I've seen people make videos of like weight loss or something in that sphere of like, oh, I started working out and doing Pilates every day and I went from this to this, and I've looked at it and I've realized I look a lot like the before. And that's coming from someone who, like, I would say fairly like skinny, and I'm only saying this for the sake of like being able to share my own experience with this video. But I've also had a lot of things where it's like, no, but you need to be skinnier. Like, in order to glow up, you need to be better. You need to be working out every day. You need to be eating these certain things. And it's like, I took it to heart a lot. I have struggled a lot with body image over the years, and it's tough and it's hard to deal with, especially when a lot of people on the internet are telling you that you don't look good how you do and that you would look better if you were skinnier. And that is where a lot of like the body shaming aspect of like the clean girl aesthetic as well as like the glow up aesthetic comes from. A lot of it has to do with like the best version of yourself is the skinniest version of yourself, which is not true. Because a lot of people, even though they might be the skinniest version of themselves, might actually be the unhealthiest version of themselves, because skinny does not equal healthy. All of our bodies are different. All of us have different metabolisms. All of us have different metabolism. Yes. All of us have different lives. All of us need to eat different amounts to be healthy. It's different. And to have to compare yourself to someone else who has a very different body, who has a very different lifestyle, it's not equal in that way. And especially for people who are struggling with body image or struggling with possible EDs or anything along those lines, it can just be even more like triggering to see those things online and to be told like kind of over and over again, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, that you need to look better and you need to change how you look and you need to be skinnier because that's the only way that people are going to like you, which is just false. I don't think any of my memories tied to anybody has ever been about the way that they looked in the moment. The only ways that I remember people is by the ways that they've treated me and the ways that they've acted and like their kindness and their friendship. I have never once had a memory of like how someone's body looked at something. And that's something that I've been trying to bring into like my own kind of area, and this is kind of a tangent, but just trying to be more accepting of how I look, because I shouldn't have to change my body to fit into like a societal standard, because I don't care. I know that I do care a lot, and I'm trying to not make myself care about that as much, because honestly, at the end of the day, and this is how I view my life a lot, is that at the end of the day, when I'm on my deathbed dying, I'm not going to look back and be like, oh, I wish I was skinnier, or I'm so glad I lost those 30 pounds. I'm never going to look back and be like that. I'm going to look back and be like, I'm so glad that I got to go and eat that amazing meal with my family and enjoy that food. I'm so glad that I got to be with all these people. And I'm not going to be sitting there on my deathbed being like, this person was overweight. That doesn't matter. And also, people will say that people are overweight, and it's like, no, honey, they're like, some people just have more body, and that's okay. That's okay. And that just kind of leads into my whole thing of that, like, all bodies are perfect. All faces are perfect. I don't think I have ever seen someone who I've been like, they're ugly. Because I don't think ugly is a real thing. I think it's a construct. I think it's something that we've made up, as well as I think we've made up beauty. I think we all look like people. I think we all look certain ways. And sure, people will say that like certain face structures or certain noses or certain eye colors are more pretty. They're not. Everyone is beautiful. The only thing that makes you ugly is the way that you treat people and if you treat them poorly. I think that the only thing that can really determine that is how you act rather than how you look. Because at the end of the day, all of us were born this way. All of us look the way we look because of so many other generations in the past who have had children, who have had children, who have had children, who have married, who have had children, yada, yada, yada. We are a mosaic of so many different genes and all this stuff. And oh my God, this is making me think of that stupid Sydney Sweeney ad.
My jeans are blue.
Bruh, she really is Cassie. Oh my God. I actually can. I've had so many conversations with my friends and family about that stupid ad. Because why is eugenics back? I don't think it's ever really left, honestly, but why is it on TV? And why are we putting up this whole like blue-eyed, blonde-haired is like the best and we should bring that back because that's stupid. I hate that commercial.
Our jeans are blue.
I think the thing that I always like to think about when I am feeling insecure about how I look is that no one else in the world looks exactly like how I look. I am such an intricate combination of so many different features, as well as everyone else in the world. And of course, if you have a twin, like, you guys still have some differences, I think. I'm not like a professional on twins, but we are all so different, both the way that we act and the way that we looked. And I think that feeling the need to change that is honestly just really, it makes me sad because no one else looks the way you look. And if we all looked the same, there would be no such thing as being an individual, because these features and these things that make me me, or at least make me appear as who I am, are part of me. And I think that is part of my journey, is trying to learn how to love all these different parts of me, even though I've been taught by society and whatnot that I need to hate certain parts of myself in order to change it to then be more palatable to people who, at the end of the day, what do other people's opinions of you matter about those kind of things? Like, why is someone commenting on your body? Why is someone commenting about, like, your makeup or how you wear this or what you're wearing or yada, yada, yada? That shouldn't matter. Because at the end of the day, the only opinion that matters about how you view yourself is you, how you view yourself. And I'm starting to sound like a life coach or someone who gives inspirational speeches, even though I'd be really, really bad at that job. But there really is no one else that looks like you. And I think we should all cherish that. And that idea of that wow, we are all such interesting combinations of all these different features and all these different people from across time. And I can't even really fully put it into words of how cool I actually think that is. The next little section I wanted to talk about was the overconsumption part of this whole trend, because it is also a very large part of it. Because the glow up trend ironically leads straight into overconsumption, because for some reason you need like a gazillion products in order to look a certain way. And that's because a lot of people who are influencing are usually like either paid to say that, or they're trying to grab people's attention by being like, you need this product in order to look like this, in order to make yourself the best version of yourself that there possibly is. Like a whole entire 10-step skincare routine and like a whole new entire wardrobe and all these specific little products that will change your life and make you better. Like all these 10,000 gummies that you need to take every single day. And it's like, that honestly is not going to change who you are and your appearance that drastically. At the end of the day, the things that are really going to change your appearance is mostly how you treat yourself, honestly. You will see that people who tend to just kind of like glow and really emit like good vibes, I guess, are people who are confident in themselves and love themselves and also love other people. That, I think, leaves more of a lasting impact than what you look like when you meet someone. It's more of how you act and how you treat someone. Because all these products and all these things that you're told to buy are just made to make you think they're going to do something, and then you buy it, and then maybe you like the product, maybe it does do something good, but it's not going to make you look like that person who told you to get it. And I think that's sometimes where there's like a disconnect there. But I've made quite a few videos about overconsumption, so if you want to check those out, I would love that. Totally go ahead. If you don't, that's chill too. And so I'm not going to get like super into this topic because I've talked about it a lot and I feel like I'd just be like beating a dead horse. I think my little thing about it is just take everything that you see online as with a grain of salt, because a lot of it is either like influencers pushing products on you because they're being paid to do it, or because they're trying to get attention, or they're trying to get your attention especially. And while don't get me wrong, a lot of these products might actually be good or be good products that actually work. Some of them won't be. And that's just kind of how it all goes. So just be mindful of that. I think it's so funny because so many of my videos, I feel like where I'm giving like advice or like talking about a topic, I'm always like, be mindful. But I think it's conclusion time now because I've been talking about this topic for a little while. And I think it's time to wrap this up. Wrap it up.
Wrap it up. Exit that way.
You don't need to glow up. It's as simple as that. You don't need to change who you are to make yourself more palatable for other people. You don't need to change how you act, how you dress, how you look. Because at the end of the day, you are with yourself, and so your view of yourself should be the most important thing, not focusing on changing who you are to change the opinions that other people have of you. That's honestly just exhausting. And just even thinking about that, I'm like, God, that sounds like so much work, and I just don't want to do that. I just want to live my life and live it how I want to live it. And I feel like a lot of the times I kind of get stuck in that jungle of caring so much about what other people think and wanting to do certain things because other people have made it look really cool. And of course, there's some things that you will see other people do and be like, heck yeah, I want to do that. That sounds so cool. And that's cool. But also, sometimes you might see something and be like, oh, well, everyone else is doing it, so that means I need to do it. And it's like, you don't have to. You don't have to change who you are. I promise. It's okay. And I think it's just good to remember that when a trend really gets its like claws in the internet, it can very easily change the way that like we perceive people around us as well as ourselves, and how we perceive how other people perceive us. I feel like I'm talking in tongues. And the trick is really just to be aware of what you're consuming and ask yourself if this is the way that you truly want to act and present yourself, or the way you want to look, or whether it's how society, I sound like the Joker, society
calls me gay,
is telling you how to act, and you are just following along. Because I think at the end of the day, it's more of just like the whole thing of like critical thinking and analysis, and being able to be like, I actually don't think I want to do this. And that's okay. It's very okay to set your boundaries, even if it's boundaries with social media or boundaries with certain trends. Because it's like, I notice that when I watch a lot of these videos, I kind of fall into this trap of feeling like I need to change something about myself, when I know for a fact that I'm okay with how I look. But these videos keep telling me that I need to change it. So that will end my little mini TED Talk, I guess. That was kind of a ramble. I did write a script, and then I once again always get a little sidetracked. But thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate the support. But I will see you in the next video. No, we're cutting that out. Bye-bye, before I embarrass myself any further.